Alright guys, here we go with some Necropolis Grail. This is the Death Division. It's been C3mbre in the green here, playing as Japanese, versus Raggs04 in the red, playing as Tatars. So already has a slightly bit of the idle time for Raggs here in the opening with the house buildings, but of course not a huge deal this early in the stages, but we see him already lagging slightly behind the Japanese player in villager numbers here. Looking at the buffs, 2 nice back golds and some back stone for the C3mbre here. He has a very unfortunate woodland here because his whole back here is covered by wood. There's just no way to sneak in here, so all he needs to wall off is here, potentially here, and maybe the side here, and he has just so much area and resources covered and safe. And his board location seem decent as well. Raggs on his hand, he has a hole on the left hand side here and some slightly broader areas, but this is certainly a full wall of wood map as well, so we might be seeing some a lot of the action going on in the middle, unless there will be some fights for the pawns here. So with Tatars, they do get extra food from the sheep, so it wouldn't be too surprising to see Tatars going for a scouts opening on a map like this, where the players are somewhat far away and you can expect them to not be full walled too early. Let's see what the situation is like. So far they haven't spotted their enemies, so they're just on the lookout for now. I have to say though, if Raggs secures this with a wall, and maybe this as well, then he will have very nice back gold secured, 3 gold spots and a huge stone secured as well. So they both have the opportunity to secure the bases by walling, and the game will develop as we go into what I think will be the late game here. Villager counts are almost even. Raggs has actually caught up. He did have some idle time at the start, but now he's the one producing a bit more efficiently. And we see the house foundations already providing some cover here. Not actually for green here just yet, but see Raggs now going out to get his second war, I believe. Yep, there we go. That cost him a little bit of idle time as well. He has one idle villager somewhere here that, yeah, is probably going to wall something. He might have forgotten about this one in the stress of the lure here, but this should be okay. So both players actually very heavy on food here, and quite a few more on wood for the Japanese player. He has 5 on wood, so that could mean some other opening than scouts for him. Could be men-at-arms, something Japanese would do a lot. Red now, Raggs is in green space, has spotted his location, whereas green doesn't really know for sure where red is, but he has taken this dock. So it's going very offensive, going for the forward dock approach first here, instead of taking the docks closer to his base, which I think he hasn't scouted yet. Okay, so he takes the first dock he can find, and also sends the villager to build the house to make use of this villager. You will probably collect some shortfish as we go as well, if there are any. This could be shortfishable. Barracks going up for Raggs here. Still think he's going for the scouts because he's going up to village now and he hasn't been taking any gold. But nice wall off here secures the most vulnerable area first. This is the one pointing straight towards his enemy side, so I can see how that's being prioritized. We will also see from Green's scouting here that he sees actually both openings into his enemy's base here, I think. I mean, assuming he knows that his enemy is here, which I think he does. And Red is now also gathering some valuable scouting intel on his opponent. He even scouted the back here to see that there are in fact back resources here, so he will need to be on the offensive to deny this. And walling off, no stable as of yet for Red here, but he's walling off. As we see Green adding fish and also approaching the feudal age. Some builders on this side dropping a stable. Could be that Red here means to sneak away the stable placement so his opponent doesn't spot it, but the obvious placement for a stable I think would still be here with a shorter distance to travel towards his enemy. And Green's response to the uptime is also going for a stable himself. He has found these two openings here, so that are closed now, unfortunately, but I think he believes he will get some damage in with scouts here, and he also has preemptive spears already, because he can know from the uptimes that it's very likely that his opponent is going for scouts. Meanwhile, Green is scouting the pond on the side here, and is also docking. Green is docking this pond, so now he has full control of all three ponds here, and he's going to make good use of them as Japanese. What he doesn't see though is that his opponent is preparing scouts. They are on this side, now there are 3 scouts. I think Red lost his initial scout to this spear or something, but snipes a forward villager from Green here. Nice awareness. And he's perfectly in the perfect spot to move in and do some damage on Green, for example on Green's woodland here. Green's initial scout making a bit of trouble on the red side here, but at the cost of having a scout trapped, because this is the last section to wall for Red at home. So pulling away to avoid the spear here, but still managed to damage this villager a little bit and causing some idle time on Green's side. So good job from Red on the offensive here. But we look at the villager counts. These are fishing ships, of course. For Green, we look at the villager count is 25. Red is not fishing at all, and that is at 29 villagers. So it is a eco lead, at least a food eco lead for Green. But Red is on the offensive with military here, so Green will need to be patient and defend nicely to make use of his economic advantage here. Look at this, he is producing villagers and fishing ships, but still he has much more food than his opponent in the red, who is also producing obviously, but this does not have nearly the same food count. I think Red will snipe this villager now. Spotted a weak villager here, and there it goes. Spearman being chased by a wolf here, so actually if Red avoids him, he will be weakened by the wolf, and Red can snipe the spear more easily. But scout numbers are pretty much the same now. Save upgrades is 5 to 4, but then there's a spear in the mix, so this is still Green's fight to win here. And actually, Red doesn't know that Green has docked, but probably suspects something, because here, since the spears, he wants to snipe this scout, lure the... I like the sneaky move here, and he sees the fish, of course, so... Green manages to save his forward villager here with some nice quick walling. But will likely lose all of his scouts now, since the spears come running in from the back here, something Green cannot see until they arrive. Green is actually backing off, so nice awareness there to spot the spears and then just run away and into his reinforcements here. And now Green has scouts numbers, but he needs to deal with spears, and he's actually using the fact that the wolf was chasing this spearman to get some sneak damage in from behind, but still he's losing numbers here. Green with the military lead, he has 11 military. Is that scouts and spears, I believe? So I think he has 6 scouts on the field and then a few spears. 6 scouts, 4 spears, maybe even more scouts on the run somewhere. What's good for Red now is that he's full wall, so it's really tough for Green to break through this in the feud late and do some damage to Red. So Red should be able to safely boom away, but look at Green's food count here with all the fish. He has 29 villagers, but 40 total, so that means he has 11 fishing ships working for him, just boosting his food eco so much. He is most likely setting up for a Cast Age Knight's economy here with these resources. Let's look at Red side. He's on the way to Cast Age. In the meantime, Green cleans up the scouts, but Red did get some value from his scouts before Green could fully wall off here with his 4 villagers that he saved with the quick walls here early on. Really got some value from this. Third dock now up for Green. He's docked all 3 ponds here. And also taking a short fish with a building villager or something introduced in a patch a few patches back. So when you dock, you don't really need to send your villager all the way back home to be useful again. You can stay there and fish, which is very nice. Red now down to 3 military. Will be losing his spear forward here as well. But with the archer rangers, I'm sure it's setting up for some archer line movement instead. Likely cav archers, since his Tatars and gets stumbling for free. So Green wants to get in, but Red was already prepared with 2 spears on the field. Might be able to snipe a scout or 2 here. And the military comes about 10-2 for now, but cavalry archers immediately queued up, which will nicely deal with this spearman. I think also Green can see the... No, he can't see the archer ranges, so that's some nice sneaky building placement there, just out of line of sight of Green here. But Green with a massive equally. Look at him reaching Cast Age with 1300 food in the bank and 200 gold already, so he will be getting Knight's production, I'm sure. He's also still fishing from all 3 ponds, something that Red would wisely challenge so that his opponent doesn't get the huge eco boost that he's already up to here. Now dropping a TC on the woodland on the hill here. So it's 2 TCs for Green and about to be 3 for Red. So Red could catch up a bit in eco here. Spears are out here. Green does not see these archery ranges, but I think he saw the cavalry archers when they attacked his spear, so he knows that his enemy is up to cavalry archers here. Green is for now adding knights and getting the wood upgrades. Japanese of course have good knights in Cast Age, but would preferably benefit from a switch in the Imperial Age. So red now moving forward a bit, using the last remaining spears to break through the walls, and the cav archers will fire as well. If green didn't know already, he will know now that red is going for the cav archers and will need a response to this. Skirmers would be the obvious choice here, but knights should do decent as well, although cav archers can outrun them. Knights have way more HP and also high melee attack, so if they can get close, that goes for spears as well, if they can get close they can slaughter cav archers. But green realizes he doesn't have the numbers or strength yet to chase these cav archers. It will be hit and run for red here, and green backs off until he has more army. Red does the same, and knows he has been a little bit annoying now, so he uses the opportunities to scout a bit, look for another entrance. He could harass the woodline here a bit. That could be where he's headed. And we see him also replenishing cav archers from home. But at the same time, green is adding more army. It's 22 to 17 now. As the cav archers running. This could be dangerous. If green had villager nearby, you could actually trap this whole group of cav archers here with a gate here or there and a house. But there are now 12 knights, I believe, for green here, and they will chase the cav archers. They are running into spears here, but spears aren't really a match for knights at this point. And with the cav archer stack, it's a bit of hit and run here, and green only has +1 armor, so they can't tank as many arrows as they wish, and cav archers take the hill here. Still great value from the cav archers from red here. Getting some nice kills in, even though the KD is pretty even here. Military numbers as well, these guys seem quite evenly matched, I must say. I wonder why green didn't actually wall off here again. He decides to open it instead to make it easier for the knights to follow and to not give a free choke point for cav archers here. But this mass of cav archers isn't easily fought back with only knights. Japanese, of course, they don't get camels, so that's not an option. That could be decent even against cav archers, given that camels can catch up with them and use their bonus against cavalry to take them out more efficiently. But I think we will need to see skirmishers added from green here after all. He has a significant lead though, but that has to be attributed to the resources as well, because he is fishing. He has been floating lots of food. He has so many fishing boats working for him, but and also now with 30 kills against 18, so the knights are doing work for green here. I think he has the +2 as well now. And he's using 2 knights as well to clean up this tower, which has been harassing his pond over here. Red does not know, I think, that green is using all 3 ponds. Red doesn't even know about the 3rd pond here, and he has not scouted green stock on this side. So it's still a huge eco advantage for green having control of 3 ponds. But red is sticking with his cav archer, now adding a defensive castle here near the gate. So this is going to be a very tough breakthrough for green unless he can deny this castle. But green is supplying more army numbers. He is actually behind the villagers now, but obviously ahead the military is adding some forward siege. But that castle will put a stop to that. Could be that it could break through a little bit here. But still the castle range is going to make a siege push difficult here in Castle H. I'm also a bit surprised that green doesn't try to take the opportunity to break in, for example, add siege on one of the sides as well instead, and try to find a breaking point. He seems to be intent on breaking through in the middle here. Now adding a monastery. So it could be to heal up the knights here. He does have a lot of weak ones after the engagement against cav archers and spears. So get a few monks out on the field, they could heal up these knights nicely, and they're now also providing meat shield for Mangonel here, if the castle fire should be an issue. So red needs to react to this now. He is being pushed. There is opening where green wants to break through. He's adding a few more ranges. He wants to boost cavalry archer numbers. He could be clicking imp very soon because he has the resources for it. He is though a bit low on military, but he does click imp. So with the trap push, especially with Tatars from behind the lines here, should be able to deal with some of the forward production buildings here. With the unique tech, the Tatar traps get +2 range as well, so that could be a reasoning behind these castles here as well, to deal with the forward. That he actually doesn't know but must suspect now, knowing that there's siege on the field. There are 3 Mangonels firing away now, but the progress will be very limited by now 2 castles. This second castle here is something that green cannot see, it's out of his line of sight. But now it's open, the knights could run in and do some devastating damage, raiding in the back here. Even though it means running through castle and TC fire here. And green also on the way up to imp. He has not been collecting stone at all, though he is switched to stone now, so he has 4 stone miners, but it's going to be a while before he can place a castle of his own unless he uses the market to buy one. But he's taking out production here nicely, using the monks to heal up the knights as well. And he's for sure considering to move in for some raids here now. Red is selling a monastery as well, but what's that going to do against these huge masses of monks? They could of course be used to heal up units as well. Red is mixing in some light cav as well. That's a nice option to deal with the Mangonels forward here. But the knights run in, but at the same moment green notices that there's a castle firing here, and he should try his best to avoid being hit by castle fire, of course, since red has gone for cav archers, soon to be heavy cav archers. He does have ballistics, so the castle and TC arrow fires, they fire more accurately as well, and green is losing a lot of knights here. He's losing so much military, but he seems to have another plan in mind. He's adding Japanese cav archers. So he challenges the Tatars, who already have the hill bonuses, nothing much to exploit here for Tatars, but wants actually to mirror his enemy's army composition here. Could of course be used to add skirms as well when he has ranges like this. Certainly a viable option. And green with his raids, I would have loved to see him move further back, because if he could have raided the back economy here, it would be nearly GG for red, I think. But knights go down, he is of course adding new military here now, but I think with the knights running further back and not being subject to TC and castle fire the whole time, they would have done a lot more damage. Heavy cav archers is in for the Tatars player. He has 7+2 attack now, 4+2. And what are green's cav archers like? There are only regular cav archers, but they have 4+3 range, actually. So red must be missing some upgrade here. Trap now out on the field for red. He wants to take out some production here for sure. And red with the slight victory. So, hi Mark Knight, thanks for stopping by. But Onager is in for Japanese player. He has 4 Onagers now, so if he can get some lucky hits in on red here, could be good. Actually, Onager cutting some trees here now to make some space for engagements later. So green with a nice mass of cav archers himself now. They aren't heavy yet though, even though he's imp. So I believe that's an upgrade he hasn't prioritized. I'm pretty sure he can afford it. It's actually floating a lot of resources now. If he had more production buildings, which he's adding, he could simply outproduce his red enemy here. But he's fighting now heavy cav archers with regular cav archers. So I believe in chemistry was the one that green got before, since he has the extra range here. But wisely adding elite skirms here now for green, that's going to help out a lot in the fight, mixing them in against the cav archers. And of course he puts away his cav archers, waiting for heavy cav archer to kick in. This castle seems very ambitious with only 4 villagers building it, and within turret range from the red player here, so... But if he keeps army protecting his villagers here, that castle could go up. Red needs to make a decision here. Does he want to take out army numbers, or does he want to stop the castle? And he goes for the taking out army approach here. Indeed, he's added light cav as well. He knows there are skirms on the field, so he wants to add those to deal with the skirmishers. But then again, green has pikemen, Japanese pikemen on the field. The castle will be denied for now at 72%. And it seems like all of the fight during this game would go on in the middle here. So actually a bit laggy here, as can happen when you have lots of action going on in this game. I think green is taking sub-optimal fights here, since he's fighting in larger numbers, but he's replenishing army at home, and now adding skirmishers from the barracks ranges behind here, which red can't know about, since he hasn't scouted it. This castle is still trying to go up, but red is splitting up his army, dealing with these villagers. Nice micro and awareness for the deer, and also has 2 traps firing from behind here. So this castle could actually go down before it's finished, even though it's at 87%. So that's ambitious castle for green for sure, but I bet he will be having a castle somewhere else instead. Now red is going somewhere with his villagers. He's going forward. Looks like he would want to drop a castle or something, but this is green's castle foundation, so they aren't going there. I want to see where these villagers are going. They are builders. You have to pay attention to the fights here. The castle foundation went down, of course. Only to 2 traps, but that's the... Taurus actually doesn't have the superior range yet, but does the work still, takes out some production here, and forces fights up from green the whole time. No skirmishers on the field for red, though. And green is constantly... He does have the eco to support anything by now. He's been fishing, had the free fish boom the whole game, and look at these villagers. They are going over here to take gold, actually placing a TC. But green actually noticed he's chasing them. He might be able to deny this TC with the skirms here. So siege workshops forward for green here now. They could die to traps still, but he's adding onlookers. If he can get some onlooker shots in here now, he would much more easily clean up his opponent's army. The onlookers could even deal with traps here. Cav archer is also doing decent damage against traps here. So onlookers now dealing with the trap. 2 hits and it's almost down. Skirms firing away, and green kind of desperate for wood right now. He's going to the wood line very close to his enemy's side here. But I guess that's his option. He's making use of some forward villagers here. So nice cleanup from red here, taking out 3 onlookers with light cap here. But he also needs to deal with skirmishers and soon to be critical mass of the cav archers here. But the wood count of green is low. Wonder if green could consider a switch. Looking at his eco balance here, he's floating just so much food and gold. He could actually spam knights or cavaliers here if he wanted to boost his army. But then again, his opponent isn't adding any significant siege, so he wouldn't need heavy cavalry to deal with that. So bringing onlookers out 1 by 1 here, gets a nice shot in here now, weakening these heavily cav archers. He gets another shot in, and this puts red behind in numbers here now. It's 36 to 30-ish military here now. Red has desperate for more military production resources, I believe. If Green can get a treb for now and treb down these castles, I think it's the GG. But nice constant push from Green here. All of the action is going down on this side except for this TC foundation, which was denied by Green, but now he's sending some light cab to deal with it. Red, of course, really wants this gold. He might be running low from the gold in his base. Let's see. He's actually out of gold. This is bad news for Red because Green has so much map control right now. But Red sends some raids in the gold. He could secure some of this gold for himself now, Red. So he's gathering gold again now. But at no some cost here, as his light cav are over raiding. He doesn't really have any means to deal with onagers and traps on this side. And his castle, though being repaired, it's too few villagers, so it will go down. And this onager is might even cut through the trees here to let the Green's army in easily. But light cav coming in here. Red has reclaimed gold on this side, so he should be able to produce gold units again. But now Green is adding some barracks on this side to deal with light cav raids as well. Nice awareness from Green. Slow but consistent push here. One castle is down. If the other next goes down, that's gonna be possible for Red to withstand any raids, I believe. Onagers could also take out production here from Red, something which would make army and defense very tough here. So still get some nice onager shots in here from Green. Gets good value from them, even though they are going down to his opponent's armies here. But this castle isn't being repaired. That will die to trebs as well. These might be the unique tech Japanese trebs who can just pack and unpack just like that. Yep. No, he doesn't have the unique tech yet, actually. But looking at the army numbers, it's 79 to 19 as a check now, and Red's production is going down. And we may be looking at the GG moment here. So Red adding stables on this side, but that's not going to do anything against the Halbs, who are maybe going in for a raid on this side, and the GG is called. Brings it to 1-0 for C3mbre here. Power play from him for sure, but his victory has to be attributed to free fish booming throughout the game. He actually wasn't challenged on water at all, except from one tower on one of the ponds. And it may be that, not 3, it's 1. Sorry about that. And we'll move on to the next game, where I'm just gonna have a look at the stats first. So you can tell there's been a lot of fighting here because this KD is 308 to 219. Eco score not that different actually. I believe Green may have, he did have the fish boom, did have a lot of food income, but maybe he did sacrifice some fishing ships in the end to make room for more army. Noticing that he needs wood eco more than food eco. But gold, huge point here. Tatars is such a weird pick for this map. Yeah, you might be right. There aren't a lot of hills to exploit, but yeah, I don't know. You could argue that cav archers could be used efficiently to take map control early though in cast stage, couldn't you? But there certainly are better picks out there. Nice to see no Lithuanians though, because Graveyard is flooded with relics, so could be seeing a lot of Lithuanians mirrors for that reason. And of course Green took the relics as well. That explains his high gold count. Looking at the army counts here, so they were even-ish at some points, but in the end, of course, Green gets more kills in and takes the win. Now let me just bring up the next game. Alright, moving on to the next game, guys. We have moats as the map here. And I'll make a note right away that players here used ES moats. For Necropolis Grails players wanted to play this map, there is an updated map called ES moats, or Necro ES moats, that should be used because resources like boars tend to bug out and spawn outside of the base on this map, and there aren't even woodlines on their starting island, so to speak, here. So there have been some adjustments made to this map. But looking at the Raggs here playing in the red as Britons, he seems to like his archers play. He played Tatars last game and did the Cab Archers, but he's now playing Britons. And we'll certainly need to fight for wood on this map. You could even, there's only this one crossing out, so you could even wall out your opponent here. And C3mbre playing as the Lithuanians for this one. He might be wanting to do a more mobile approach here. The relics are in his favorite placements here. It has this one rather close to his base, 3 relics close to his base, and 2 closer and on his enemy's side here. But he goes straight out looking for the wood lines here. Something I bet Raggs will do as well, realizing there's not really any wood on his home field. Well, at least it seems like both players have the boars spawned on their home base here, except the sheep for Raggs, which are on this side, which are very unfortunate for him. He will have to look for a while to find the sheep. Having the sheep is a huge for Britons since they gather them faster, so that's a bit of a setback for Raggs at the start. But he did scout some extra boars and hunt here, so he might be using that as a backup plan. Blue is actually going forward now. He might be looking to wall in his opponent on his main island here. So if Blue finds this crossing and can wall it off, that could be disaster for Red, because he will need to break through to make use of his map. So we could be seeing some next level laming here. Exactly. This could be potentially a short game, guys, because if you're so cut off from, well, especially wood like here, then you're at a huge disadvantage already. Red won't be able to move forward with any army, won't be able to take more wood than with 4 villagers unless he breaks through the palisades here, and I think he may not even have noticed yet, so this is really bad news for Red. So in my opinion, this is a huge weakness to this map, that you have only this one crossing, because you can't dock on the shores either. So if you're walled like this, there's just no way out for you. And Raggs is off to a nightmare start here. He does have the villager lead, we'll have to give him that, but he's missing 4 sheep here. And he was so close as well. And now he may be trying to task his scout, but sees that his enemy has lamed him in here, and must be really demotivated right now, this red player, knowing that he can't expand from his home base and he will run out of resources at home. He does of course have gold and stone at home, but he will need to deal with these walls somehow. So now he wants to wall off here to make sure it doesn't happen again, that he's wall out. And meanwhile Blue is getting a somewhat, don't know if you can call it a free boom on his side, but it will likely be a while until he sees the pressure from his opponent here. And Red also might lose a villager to scout here.
Mandatum.
So it's clear that red is struggling with food to click up here because he was missing 4 sheep total. Of course he found his boars and is garrisoning now, trying to muster enough food to click up, but he is still missing a little bit. So this is going to delay his feud significantly, but at least he is the first one to click up. What's C3mbre's situation like? He is actually pretty far off from clicking up right now. So he may have had food struggles as well. There are 2 sheep here that he actually didn't find. A bit unlucky there that these are just by the fog of war. And of course Red will now use villagers to break through the walls and get out and get stuff done. He's now safely walled at home, so he will be safe from any melee aggression from Blue. Actually finds his sheep here as well, so that's some food he can bring in. But Blue adding the barracks, must be thinking about scouts, I guess, since he is in fact Lithuanians. But and also has the food set up for it. But here he goes to stone actually, so could also be a Men-at-Arms Towers style play here, I guess. So as the scout here, he knows that he can reach this woodland by towers, and he has already, with these walls, delayed his opponent significantly in his development. So there shouldn't be any early archers to deal with from Britons here. He's missing a lot of wood for that. So there's actually militia on the field for Blue here for now. Will they be attacking Men-at-Arms? Tower is being dropped and the Men-at-Arms could break through the palisade walls here. There's the Men-at-Arms brigade coming in. Looks like he's been tasked them in looking for an opening here, and the tower is going up on the woodline, which means Red will have to migrate, and there's actually only 1 woodline left for him to go to. So if this one is denied by tower as well, Red is in a really tough spot for Britons, who are very dependent on their wood for what is their go-to play with archers. So Blue looking for the weak spot here, tries to break through the house here. The tower is being walled in, so it won't be battered down by villagers, but Red now opens his walls to send a few villagers out, and he will probably try to find wood. No, he actually wants to wall out aggression on this side. So he wants to make sure that he has 2 woodlands to go to in case. So I can appreciate that idea, but here are Blue's villagers, and it's a weak villager going out for Red to wall, unfortunately. So this guy here will go down to either villagers or tower fire here. So great initiative trying to secure 2 woodlands from Men-at-Arms and towers here, but unfortunately doesn't succeed, and now needs to quick wall this section if he wants to keep them out. Red closing in on Castle Edge though. Could he make use of that? He will most certainly, if he goes to the Castle Edge, he will have a huge head start on the Castle Edge, because Blue is very far off from that. Could be a useful player. Also a defensive tower going up for Red. He's not been taking stone, so that's gonna delay his boom in the Castle Edge, but secures his woodland here nicely and could get to archers and eventually crossbows. Blue, even with the skirmisher in the mix now, he knows of course that he will need them at some point against Britons. But by this forward, Blue is more or less taking control of the whole map here, which is going to play to his advantage when he needs to expand more and he gets to the next stage. Red has the means to click up, but he is missing the second building, so he can't do that just yet. He will need a blacksmith or market or stable to click up here. So blue chasing down, blocking some archers here. Nice play there. The archers, there isn't any blacksmith on the field, so they don't even have fletching either, so they are easily taken down than otherwise. They don't have any extra range. And blue now stonewalling the poor red player here, so expansion for red is going to be very tough here. We will need to use siege now to break through here and to get out. And looking at the populations as well, it doesn't look right for red here. He's down 10 in military. He has his one wood line, but he's being challenged by some ranged units here. So I think it's only a matter of time before red will be forced to call it here. Look at blue's eco setup as well. He's determined to staying in field age here for a while. He's committing to skirms, to archers, to pretty much everything here, and it's working. Because he's keeping his enemy at home, and being in field age, you can't easily expand and produce other sites on the field either. And by denying the woodland from red all the time as well, red does not have the option to click up to the next stage. And look at blue adding outposts to have full control of the rest of the map here now. He knows that this is the only entry point, so he knows that red is trapped. He will tell if red is trying to break out when the walls go down. And there are only a few villagers here and there, of course, if red makes it to Castle Age at some point. There's the market, so I think we'll see the click up now. But now blue is also stonewalling this point, so that he's just not leaving red with no point to go. He's walled off this section, he's walling off this section with stone walls. I have to say blue is playing this map very nicely, because he knows that you are so cramped, so to say, in the start, that you need to expand and you need to... So if you force that... Oh, this is moats, Akkal-AOE. Danube is like highlands. So red, of course, can't tell that this has been walled off, but once he notices, I'm sure he will be very demotivated here to do anything else, because he will need siege to break through. He is going to the gas station, and he must know that his opponent is investing heavily in feudal, so he will have the tech advantage here, being the age ahead. But how does he break through these walls here without being hindered by blue further on, because there are quite a few ranged units here that would deal with the villagers trying to break down there. There's a tower there, nice addition there to make sure that archers can't stop them from breaking through, but this is still going to take a long while. Blue still in feudal age, he's floating very much wood by now, and some gold and stone as well, but his food eco is yeah, it's growing, and he's going for the gas age now. So what's red gonna do here? He gets to cast age, could use siege, get a ramp or something to break through these walls, but he's fighting against 15 military when he himself doesn't have any. And is also behind is down to nearly half the population of his enemy here, so it's looking grim for red here. His eco can't be all that healthy considering the numbers. He has one secured woodland here though. But this massive, relentless feudal pressure from blue has really paid off for him. You could tell from the score as well that He has more army, he has more vision of the map. And a few crossbows out from red. If he can mass enough crossbows and be patient here, he could deal with this army. But that again, it has to happen before blue can get to Castle Age and get his upgrades in for either archers or skirms or both. And blue with a very nice, healthy eco here, he can support lots of upgrades once he reaches Castle Age. Now even a forward siege workshop from blue here. He sticks with his army numbers, he's getting elite skirm, crossbow and Vodkin arrow. And once the siege workshop goes up, it's going to be impossible for red to break out here because the mangonels behind will just kill any villagers and even the tower here. We have to commend Raggs here for holding on though. He was struggling to click up to Castle Age because of missing wood for the second building, but he's holding on. He's producing a bit of he was producing a bit of army, and yeah, he's trying to keep up. Look at blue walling this section as well. He just doesn't want his opponent to be able to expand in any way. And the mangonel is out, and what does red do now? He's adding a defensive siege. Must be suspecting the siege from his opponent. He can't know, but Castle Age has kicked in, so he must know that his opponent is up to no good, and it's just such a severe, huge eco lead for blue now. He can afford anything, and red is struggling and calls the GG. So that brings us to 2-0 for C3mbre here, and we'll move on to another matchup. So for reference again, if you want to play moats, look for Necropolis moats in the map pack, which has some adjustments made to your starting position. So KD, nothing too significant here. It's just the fact that blue was restricting red from any advancement from home early on. It's just what won in the game here. And it's certainly a way to play this map. So you need to be on the lookout when playing modes that you need to expand early enough for your opponent not to deny it from you. So it's a massive eco lead from blue here. Red was collecting a lot of stone. I assume he sold it a bit on the market to balance his economy, but upon Castle Age he could maybe have placed the castle at home or something to extend his defensive measures and maybe be able to expand, but he was just so far behind overall. Right. Now moving on to an Adept Division game. We're going to a game between Sauerkraut and Durian. hold on. So guys, we're in the Adept division now. That's the lower section, that's the 1000 to 1400 ELO section. And we have a matchup with Slavs against Spanish here. Sauerkraut playing in the blue as Slavs, and Durian in the red playing as Spanish. So we already see a bit of idle time in the opening here. I think Durian was struggling finding his sheep at the start. Now he brings in a few more and yeah, gets slightly impatient here. Doesn't set the gathering points, but now he brings in, finds 5 more sheep, and he should be good to go in getting the start running. There's on Sauerkraut's side, he's found his sheep as well. Sheep scouting a little bit, that goes for both players actually. And what an unexpected matchup, I absolutely agree. Looking at these maps, Graveyards has such huge amount of relics. I think it's 10 relics total, so you would expect to see, for example, Aztecs or Lithuanians on this map, and there are ponds as well, so you would want maybe to exploit some fishing bonus if there are civs that have that. But here we have some, maybe they just picked their favorite civs here. Slavs, farming bonus, great eco, and their military buildings support population, so it has you housed less easily here. And Spanish, well, they build faster, they could get to conquistadors, take map control, but yeah, interesting matchup. Maybe they're saving their best and favorite civs for later. And I have to mention again, this tournament is played on fast speed. That's why we could see some more fumbling with placing gathering points and other small mistakes here, because it's simply a bit more unsettling and stressful to play at fast speed. Like this, microing builders to get to work. They're spreading out a bit here. Of course, that's a common thing that could happen if you're not paying attention, but it happens more easily if you're not, if you're playing on fast speed and aren't able to pick up the changes as quickly. So blue now bringing this boar here, and red is actually asking, are there boars? Red, you have scouted this, red. So, and yeah, he doesn't scout the other one, so maybe he wanted to know if there were 2 boars. And it looks like blue didn't answer him actually. Yeah, 2 boars. Nice of blue to give him a heads up there on the food and resource situation. So there should be standard resources, but then I look at the extra golds as well. So blue milling the berries here, they're cramped up against the woodline here. It's actually almost considered to be considered a bug map, but they can be in reach here for the villagers. They're not blocked behind the forest, so I guess this is okay. I'm curious to see what they go for though. Both civilizations are likely to go scouts here, unless the Spanish player wants to go for fast castle play. With Slavs, you have the option of going pike and siege push. That should be very strong since they have strong infantry. Could even do longsword siege. And then of course the conquistadors for the Spanish player. Yeah, has the stone easily accessible here. His main, well, the spread out main stone actually forward. That's a bit bad news for the red player here, but he should be okay. I think I prefer Slavs, although these civs are pretty similar in terms of their military strength. Yeah, you might be right. But Spanish don't really have any eco bonus, right? So except from building buildings faster. So So that could certainly play into the South player's favor, but when I say that, the red player gets housed. Good thing for him is Spanish, he can build the houses faster, but this is certainly a panic house here, as it sort of blocks access to the walking around the bears here. But they seem to be having somewhat of an even start here. Villager count is pretty much the same. Those bit suboptimal food gathering here with the sheep slaughtered all the way out there, so Blue might be missing out on some food here. He might not be used to fast speed, but he clicks to the feudal age. And Red just now brings in his second war. Unfortunately, he didn't scout this area, so he didn't find a war, and luring boar is no joke at fast speed either. You have to really pay attention, otherwise you might lose villager here. But he saves it. Good job from Red. And also adds a house. Could be a panic house again. This is very close to the gold. I guess they can pass through, but not ideal. I would have loved to see Red take his main gold first. First of all, because it's in the back, and also because there's simply more gold to collect from this mine here. But maybe he wants to secure his forward resources first. That could be an idea. So barracks going up for Blue does suggest for me that he wants to go for his scouts, especially since he's rushing it out up here. No, looks like we have a German player here. That must be Sauerkraut. So I hope he won't go sour if he loses, huh? Red though has docked the pond. There is a huge dock very close to his base. He could get away with huge fish boom here if Blue doesn't realize. But stable is going out for Blue, and Red is only 70% castle age, fuel age, sorry. And has some idle time here. He does have the wood to build the barracks, but this is beginning to look a lot like a fast castle approach from Red, even though he hasn't walled off. So this could be dangerous. This could be punished by Blue's scouts rather easily here. Blue, of course, has found his enemy and his core resources, so unless Red is a quick walling hero, he could be struggling here against Blue's scouts. Does Blue know that Red is on the pond though? He doesn't. But he does know the pond is here, so he could be suspecting that as well. He might want to challenge water. Blue, however, has not gone for the pond. He doesn't realize that he has a pond to the south of his base. Boo! Too bad joke for you, the ghost. But look at their scores, they're pretty different here. I think it's the fish boom saving in some resources for Red here. Seeing as Blue has the military lead as well, but he's investing into scouts, meaning his castle age will be delayed. Red does have boom, but he will certainly lose one villager here. Maybe two. No, Blue dodges TC fire, nice move there, and now of course he sees the dock. He knows he will need to handle water at some point as well, but look at the wood line here being raided. Idling Red's whole wood line here. This is bad news. Red's forced to fight off with villagers since he doesn't have a barracks yet, and this is just massive amounts of idle time for Red here, unfortunately. But Red complete idle. Look at the idle count, 15 for Red, 0 for Blue. As Blue continues idling. Blue could even invest in more scouts here and just make full use of scouts, because Red, if Blue sees it, Red doesn't have any barracks at all, so he can't make spearman. And he idles his TC. He pulls all of his villagers back. This is just disaster for Red. We might be seeing a very short game here, actually. So desperately fights off the scouts here, but now Blue is buying himself a significant lead as Red has all his eco idle. He has panicked completely here. Blue adds a forward villager here. Does he want to drop a tower, or what's the idea here? If he towers this wood line, if he manages to do so, then it's really bad news for for red, I think. Could also be misclick in fast speeds for stressing away here. Red now adding a barracks. His eco should be. It's actually a very good food eco because he has the fishing ships working for him. He's adding the barracks for some reason. He could be instead be adding blacksmith market and just opt for castle age here. Blue. This must have been a misclick since he's sending 3 villagers back now. That's some unfortunate idle time for blue there. Now adding the market. I have to say Red's buildings placement, they seem a little bit rushed. I think he would benefit from having the buildings either act like walls to some sides here, or at least not have them cramped up against the resources like this, because it makes resource gathering a bit more tough here. I think these guys are going to stone, because he will be clicking Castle Age once he can get his second building up, but he may have forgotten that, Red, so his Castle Age could be even further delayed. Could be, it happens to all of us. He might be stressed out by fast speed here, and now sends even more villagers wood. Really needs wood for that second building, which he's placing now. It's the blacksmith, and then the stone miners will go back to. I can see why he has so many villagers. This now he needs to rush the building up and just get Castle Age going, but it will be blue reaching Castle Age first, and blue even walling off earlier than his opponent here. He has already secured most of his area. He needs to wall off this section and this section here, and he should be fine. Then again, red is fishing, blue is not. Gains red a significant food eco, but if Conquistadors is indeed the play here, red needs to retask some villagers to gold as well. Because he barely has any gold, he will have to rely on market abuse to have gold for Conquistadors, and getting Conquistadors out early is the key, because you need them out before your opponent can wall off and get skirmishers out. No skirmishers for blue for now though. He seems to be going for the knights here, because he's adding a second stable. Knights is certainly a valid player, he's getting bloodlines as well. Red is playing this map completely open, which leaves blue's knights just to raid freely once they get there, and red will be behind to the Castle Age as well, so it will take him some while to take into pikemen if he indeed wants to do that. He could be able to get a defensive castle up though, which would maybe be considered being actually up on the hill here to cover the gold and the woodlines. But let's see how he plays it out. Could be that he's forgotten that he was raided on gold here, because he's not taking any gold still, the red player. He will be able to afford some TCs right away. He could be going for the multiple TC boom, and the scout did harass the fish eco a little bit here as well. So Castle Age is in. And red is pop capped at 35 pop, now rushing up a house again, while blue has started knights production, admittedly only from one stable now, so maybe his eco isn't quite on par as well. He might be a bit low on gold here, only producing from one stable at a time right now, but even he still gets knights out. He has the +1, he has bloodlines. Now has 3 knights and a scout raiding, and red tries to force up a castle. Not the worst spot here, as it covers a lot of resources here, but if it's denied, I think it's GG for red. I'm a little bit surprised to see blue not trying to stop this castle, but on the other hand, red is investing all of his eco again to bring this castle up. So even though it protects quite a few of his resources here, it doesn't negate the fact that blue is free to roam around and raid everything with his knights here, because red is not walled at all. And red is completely idle. He Must be realizing by now that he's lagging pretty much behind. He is also not in an eco position to sustain continuous conquistador production, but he has a few conquistadors out. He could market abuse a bit to get gold, but he really needs to go to gold as well to sustain army production here. And once this dock goes down, that's also another piece of bad news for Red, because if he loses the fish eco he is reliant upon for food here, and food he needs for conquistadors as well. So all Blue needs to do here is add a forward siege workshop, get some rams up, ram down the castle and TC, and it's GG for sure. And here's the forward siege workshop for Blue. Something Red doesn't see, as it's just out of line of sight for from the docks here. So a few conquistadors out on the field now, not nearly enough to deal with this mass of knights though, and Blue keeps producing them. He will have a critical mass of army at some point. He doesn't have the +2 yet, but once that kicks in, the plate barding armor, is it? Chain barding armor, then he could even use knights to take out buildings much more easily. He's adding a mangonel here. I think I would like to see rams as well, because that could be efficient in taking out a castle that does not have murder holes. But he goes to mangonel down the TC. This is Red's only TC. So Red is idled again. He seems to be panicking a bit, garrisoning inside the TC and the castle. Not really. He doesn't have a lot of eco working for him now. He's now 24 idles. He's idling his only company, trying to push back some knights here, but this should be GG any moment soon for Red here, because he's not producing. He must be running out of resources as well. He's not bringing in gold, not bringing in stone, only has 2 wood choppers working, and is desperately trying to fight back with the army here, but it doesn't look too right. So he wants to take out his siege workshop. He could consider being behind. You could consider going for a raid, going for a counter-attack with what you have. Those are the conquistadors. Of course, it makes sense to take down some forward production as well, but this is going to take a while just with these conquistadors, and I think the better play would be trying to find an opening and to hit Blue at home. Blue is now adding a university and some ranges, and he has a huge mass of knights as well, so this one then went down to Conquistador fire though, so Red is pushing back a little bit, but not at any cost. It's 60 villagers to 28 here now, which is a position where you would expect Blue would expect his opponent to GD a while ago, I think, because it has such a huge lead here. If you look at the scores, it's closing in on, well, not closing in on, but it's 1600 points difference in scoring at this point in the game. It's actually quite huge. I'd actually like to see a Blue boom up to Imperial Age, just get into a forward castle and then trap down and finish this. That might be what he needs. But it's also doable in Castle Age with some strong siege here. He has even mixed in skirmishers now, elite skirmishers, to deal with the conquistadors. But the only thing saving Red at this point is the castle covering a lot, but his whole eco is idle again inside of his buildings. He seems to not want to risk his eco being raided while trying to defend against conquistadors. Blue could even consider adding some scorpions here to have some more range against the conquistadors. Although the conquistadors can easily fire it down, we could have the scorpions firing behind, I believe. and but now the skirmishers are getting some fire, and blue will clean up. It's only 5 military for red. Red is not in a position to replenish his army, and the GG is called here. So brings it to 1-0 for Sauerkraut. And we'll be moving on to the next game, which will be Durian's home map. So let's have a look at the stats here first. KD actually pretty even, all things considered. But look at the eco for the Slavs player. He was untouched at home, and he was just in such a dominant position, which you can tell from the villager count. Nice number as well. And up times, yeah, pretty different. Red was struggling finding his sheep and boar, that has to be said. He was off to a nightmare start. But in that case, you also have one restart in this tournament, and that is something you can consider if your start is really, really off. So we'll be moving on to next game, which is going to be hideout. Sauerkraut. Yes. So on here. So we have a hideout game next. This is Sauerkraut in the blue playing as Franks. Wouldn't be surprised to see a fast casting knights here from him. And playing against the Durian, who is Spanish. So Durian is down 1-0. He needs to win this game to get to a game 3 and have a chance to advance here. With Spanish, he would have a good opportunity to do, for example, a tower rush, or let's say Melotav's tower, and really delay what Franks would likely do as a fast castle here. But Frank's player with the stone in the back here should make a tower rush kind of awkward here, as he would always have the opportunity for defensive towers. Now this is on a map like Hideout especially, it's kind of questionable to have all the cows inside. This increases the chance of the villagers going randomly to more than one cow by having them too close. And on Hideout, where your opponent won't be around to lame your sheep or cows, you could consider keeping all cows except one outside. These are now kind of blocking the villagers from working here, unfortunately, so that could be something for Durian to consider, to keep the cows a little bit further away so that the villagers eat from one at a time and don't take multiple at once. But Durian is going to, well, he could be doing fast castle drop conquistadors. Of course, this game, it's an option. So looking at the map here, all of the neutral resources, so to say, are on the left side here. There's only one stone on the back, so there won't really be much to fight for on this side. And I think also the obvious walk around to get you enemy will be on this side. So if either player walls off this side, you could secure yourself. Yeah, the Ghost, you might be right. It might be that Red actually picked same sieve here, and that's that's actually not okay. don't think it will make a huge impact on the game, but I guess we'll need to notify that for clarification. I'll check that after, actually, if the same player actually picked the same pick twice, but that's not allowed. It's hidden sieve, no reuse. See here, Blue here even bringing in a deer here. He wants this fast food income to get to the castle edge as soon as possible and then get the knights out, I presume, with Franks. So some wood chopping ASMR here while we're waiting for any action to happen. I think I'll actually fast forward a bit since there's not really much action on hideout at this point in game. I think Blue is already off to a significant lead here. On a closed map you could focus everything on your build and kind of looks like both players are opting for a fast castle approach here, but Durian actually very much behind here in villager count, and Blue already on the way up to feudal with 25 pop. We might actually be seeing Blue going to reaching cast stage before Red can do anything at all here. So Blacksmith stable going up for Blue. So he wants to pump out the knights right away. And as stated before, huge village lead. He's only now missing the gold to click up. It's going to be a pretty clean fast cast from Blue here, even at fast speed. There's the gold in, and cast stage is in for Blue. Let's see what Red's eco is like. He is not that far behind. Thanks to Ghost. I'll need to make a note of that announcement in the Discord about that. It's not allowed to pick the same sim twice, so yeah, but this set is already played, so if we can assume that Blue wins this set, then it doesn't really make a huge difference, right? Because it was Durian losing last game, being so for the tournament's sake it doesn't really make much of this difference, but guess we'll just focus on the match for now. So Red is about to be able to click up. He will be clicking up at 26 pop here, I think, maybe 27. I mean 27 pop, maybe 28. Yeah, I think he's gonna finish that villager and then click up. But he's missing some food. I think he has too few farms and he hasn't been taking his hunt. He's milling the hunt right now, so that's gonna slow him down a bit, but he will be able to click to the castle age since he has the buildings. He could even have abused the market a bit here, but he will be significantly behind to the next stage here. So castle age is in for Blue. At the same moment his opponent is clicking up. Looks like Red is already preparing some quick walls to secure his eco from raids here. Well, of course he always needs houses, but the placement suggests that he is expecting some raids to come in from the Franks player here. So none of them have Blue actually has scouts on the field, so he has 2 scouts, so he has some nice map vision overall here. Doesn't feel threatened at this point, so he's adding a town center. It's actually not adding knights yet. He could just go in and use his castle age advantage and sweep for the kill right away now. But he is already being prepared here. He even added an archer range, knowing his opponent is Spanish. He knows the conquistadors will come at some point. So I feel a bit on the defensive side of Blue here, not going for military and aggression right away, considering he's so much earlier to cast Age. Of course, he can't know that for sure, but he will probably regret that once he sees that his opponent reaches cast Age now already a few minutes later. That could have been enough for Knights to sweep in and do some serious damage here. But as good as no military for both players here. Those numbers here are only scouts for blue, 2 scouts, and 2 spears for red in this place. But red reaches cast Age. He is slightly behind in villager count still, and that will only increase, I think, because blue has been on 3 TC eco already for a few minutes. But red goes for the multiple TC boom approach here now with Spanish. So it looks like a kind of slow hideout game here. Both players were just booming up and no military protection just yet. I think it's kind of unusual to see one player reaching cast Age that early and then not using that advantage for some kind of push, even on hideout. A hideout is only palisade walls, so you certainly do have the means to go for early aggression, but here blue seems to want to wall off this side instead and make sure that there's only one side where his opponent can reach him. And still think it would have made sense to wall this side first, because the distance is closer between the enemies on this side, I believe. So red's on a 2 TC boom, blue is on 3, and he's bringing in lots of gold here. You could even opt for an early imp if you wanted to, because he does have that kind of eco lead, but he's adding more ranges now, so he's really afraid of those conquistadors, I think. Or it could be as a means of adding ranged units, for example, elite skirmishers to deal with spearmen and pikemen. Could also be the case. That's actually a good choice from blue in that regard, to have elite skirmishers, because they counter both conquistadors and pikes or spears. So that could be the reasoning behind this, as a preemptive measure to have some defense against his opponent's counters. And here come the house walls on this side as well. Red is dropping a defensive castle. And now dropping his 3rd TC. So this is a farm TC right here. It protects his farms, but it doesn't really allow for any more resource gathering. I think a better spot for the 3rd TC would be, even though there is a blue scout there, to place it near 1 gold and some wood here to secure some more resources and take the map more. Even secure more stone for more castles maybe. But on this already closed map, red does have a better start than last game, and he should be able to mass up some army now. His eco is of course more secure than last game on graveyards, which was pretty open. He has the food and gold to start making conquistadors, if that's indeed his idea. He's placing a lot more farms as well. But still it's blue with a significant villager and eco lead here. And with that considered, blue should be in a very great spot once the fighting begins. Not the most efficient woodland, no. I like that he's placing new lumber camps to refresh them to make gathering more efficient, but in the process of doing so he was actually blocking some of his gatherers, and now we have one guy idling out here. He actually noticed, so good awareness from blue there to micro his eco a bit at home as well. Blue also with a military lead here. Conquistadors are out. Red, did he delete his gate to let that knight in and to... I think it did. Could have been by mistake, or it could have been just to more easily chase down that one single knight. But now blue learns everything he needs. He knows where the defensive castle is. He's found the eco and has also succeeded in idling his opponent here. And now running away in Mildred lead there, 73 to 50 now. So Blue stonewalling, playing in Fat Slob style here on the side here. He really doesn't want to be raided by conquistadors, and he's house walling this side as well. I hope he leaves some gate or some kind of opening here. Or maybe he wants to sneak in one builder and make some forward buildings, but the Blue is even, provided he has the buildings to do so, he's placing a castle now. Then once the castle is up and he has enough gold, it could go imp already, so... But Red also has the means to kick up, he has the buildings he needs. He is investing less in military, so he's floating more resources. And he is doing some house walling near the mining camp here. This mining camp will not be the most efficient one, because by housing like this and by placing the mining camp right next to the gold, you actually have to walk all the way around to drop off from these different spots. But hey, villagers and army needs places to live, so of course they need houses as well. So Blue now with 16 military. He's only at one stable for now, but he's migrating to the secondary gold now, I think. And he's mining from 3 different gold spots now. It's only a matter of time before he kicks up to the next stage, I think. And he's even adding outposts, so he wants some map vision here to make sure he knows if his opponent is taking the neutral resources. So, good way of finding some awareness on the map there. So both of these players seem like pretty defensive players here, especially on hideout, just going for the boom. And Red actually having missionaries here, so maybe he sees them as an opportunity to convert the knights or later to be paladins to come. Could also be some lack of scouting here. Red does know where his enemy is, but he doesn't know that it's blocked off on the sides here. But eco-wise, Blue in a significant lead. There is 91 to 64 villagers now, also military lead for Blue. And Blue really likes his skirmishers. He wants to win this game only by defending with skirmishers against the conquistadors, it seems. He's Franks and playing nearly full skirmishers. So I can see the idea. He wants to fight off these conquistadors easily, and he does that by making those skirms. But also his knights are trapped in the back here. You can just, of course, just delete some walls and they're fine. But Imperial Age will kick in for Blue. He's getting lots of upgrades here. He's just getting the chivalry to produce more quickly from stables. So here are the stables going up. He's going to boost his stables. Even another layer of stone walls on this side. Just no way. Red is going to run around for a sneak attack on this side. And outpost rushing in progress already. Red now going forward. Blue will probably spot this because he has line of sights from the houses. This is what he sees. So I don't know what Red's plan is here. Red wanted to place a castle on this goal. That's not gonna happen, unfortunately. And Red, with the resources to click Imperial Age if he wants to, he could just do that right now. Maybe he even should, as his opponent is in the Imperial Age researching Cavalier now. But Red really likes his conquistadors and chooses to stay with them. Blue even getting some value from his scout here now. He will die, of course, to Conquistador fire here, but managed to pick off a villager on the way. Sending forth the skirms now. This will actually force the Conquistadors back, I believe, because it's 18 elite skirms to 12 Conquistadors. Does Blue have a university? It does, so he probably has gotten all the upgrades he can for the elite skirms already, and he's tanking up on military. He's adding mainly skirms still, but also the cavaliers, and I wouldn't be surprised if Blue now even has the eco to support paladin resource soon. He's only missing the food, but already picks off a few conquistadors here. The missionaries will get some skirm conversions here, but skirms even counters missionaries, it seems. So now, what Blue needs to do here is just go forward with some villagers. He's still on the defensive, boomy side here, but if he gets a forward castle up and traps down this only castle of green, it should be the GG moment. So Red is holding on, adding stables on his own, but Blue is taking Paladin as mentioned. He wants to get the Paladin before he launches his attack, and he just slowly brings one trap forward here. And being protected by skirms and paladins, that should probably be enough. That might be actually the gathering point of his castle set over here, yeah. So spreading out the skirms, just being plain annoying here. The red knights will deal with the skirms though. But then again, Blue will have Paladin on the field. Frank's Paladins, no joke, they are tanky boys. And Red reaches Imperial Age, but looking at the score, he's only got half the villagers. He's been on the 3 TC boom, but not being nearly efficient in the booming as his opponent. So Red probably feels he has a decent spot right now, even if he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't look at the score, but he's fighting battle skirms from his enemy, and he just doesn't know what's coming next. So here come the Paladins. Getting relics can be really important on this map. Yeah, it's true. Doesn't look like they're going for the relics though, but of course if you're behind you could secure some gold income by doing so. So Blue now with 53 military, twice the population, or well above twice of the population of his opponent, and he will, with his mobile army of paladins here, he would just easily deny his opponent from any expansion. He's also denied rushes from the other side, so counterattack is not an option here. Red really wants to place a forward castle now. I wonder how it's going to pull that off with this army fighting against him. But credits for the audacity here, trying to drop a forward sneaky castle on this TC here. But Blue surrounds Red's knights with paladins here. And looks like Red is getting some random monk techs here. But he's outproduced massively in military. It's 70 to 15 military here, and once this castle goes down, I think it's the GG moment for Red. I don't think he realizes he's so far behind in military count, and he rang the town bell, so he's idled all his eco for not really any good reason here, because it's still being palisades, it's still behind walls, so it's not a worry until he breaks in, which he will do at this moment. And how do you deal with 34 Franks paladins running into your eco while your only castle is being tread down? Conquistadors doing some hero work here. They might be able to pick off a paladin or a few missionaries as well. Could be getting a conversion here. But the castle goes down. Red is completely idle, and surely he will be calling the GG very soon here. And there it is. So in the end, it brings the score to. Okay, some nice chatting here. Damn, I hope you win. I think Red felt a bit outmatched here. So, but still put in a good effort. And let's move on to another game. Alright guys, moving on with another set here. This is Cooper versus Adalwolf, and this is the Death Division. I'm gonna add that on the turning score actually. Could be useful. So I know I'm casting a few sets that may have been casted before, but that's also because I have an ambition to try to get through all of the sets. So and maybe I will provide some perspectives that other casters didn't already. So we have the first map, which is always Graveyard in Necropolis Grail. And as you can see, it's a graveyard team. There are some tombstones and some buildings residue here. There are some ruins. And the pond generation is very different from one graveyard map to another. In this case, they have a huge pond, and the only one that's pretty close to both players here. I'd say no, they're just as close, both players here. So this could be a fight for water, because there's just so much fish to take here. If one player gets the fish boom going and the other doesn't, that's just a real huge potential advantage. So Adalwolf is about to find his last few sheep now. It seems to Cooper, I mean, is about to find his last few sheep now. He seems off to a decent start here, and Adalwolf also scouting his home base is missing quite a few sheep, but he's also sheep scouting here, so he should be able to discover them in time for it not to be an issue. He's actually getting scouted all of them, he just hasn't selected them yet. A bit unfortunate war spawn here for Adalwolf, but even though he has to run around the woodline, if he gets doomed before he goes for it, he should be fine. Or he could use the scout to block. Cooper in a decent position to lame here though. Will he go for it? Nah, Cooper seems to be a nice guy here and leaving the lame for some other day. No. We have a boar lame. So some early game action here. Cooper goes straight in for the lame. This is a tournament where all kinds of laming is allowed, and it's no joke trying to lame on this map, having to navigate to path through all the trees here, but so far he seems to be doing alright. Very unfortunate boar spawn for Adalwolf there, but lame does come at a cost. He is sustaining eco at home very nicely here, Cooper, so this is bad news for Adalwolf, but he'll just have to adapt. Maybe he will go for an earlier dock than planned, for example, to catch up with this. But look at this timing here, bringing in the boar exactly as he's depleted his sheep, using the town center to weaken them a bit, garrisoning, and of course saves his scout in the process. Now very low HP scout here for Cooper, and he probably wants to send a scout here to prevent the counter lane here. Yeah. So now Cooper's scout is chilling out on his home base. Adalwolf hasn't scouted his opponent, so there's no risk of laming here. Cooper going for a dock actually. And actually it's before 5 minutes, so if Adalwolf wanted to, he could have called the restart here. But he's a sporty person, goes for it, doesn't really mind losing one boar, and he wants to keep going. We need a scumbag emote for the lamer. Yeah, true. Scumbag.
Yeah.
So I was going to say it's only 3 on wood for Adalwolf, but actually it's 4, and his fourth one is blocked here, but now he realizes and he loosens the map a bit. So he's gonna get his eco going again there. So what does he do as Vikings? He could take control on the water more easily, I would say, but the Celts player, he has a quicker wood income, so he could get the fish boom up and running more easily. And Adalwolf does know the pond is there, but he doesn't know that his opponent is on fish just yet. So for Cooper's side, he is on 22 pop. He's taking Loom after a few wilders here. I was going to suggest he may be going for some Men-at-Arms style here, but could be just a straight fast castle, considering he has the fish eco working for him, he still has some food at home, and he's also bringing in one extra boar from Adalwolf's side. So, but here comes the Drush from Adalwolf. chilling out for the moment, just looking for an opportunity to eat. These are a massive amount of villagers hitting the boar here for Cooper, but then again he stole one boar, so he does have a significant food lead here. So Drush is in. Adalwolf must know that this is up on his side because the berries are here, but he might be going in a different direction just to try and find. But he will find the gold here. He will, if it's very unfortunate not paying attention, he will actually run straight into TC fire here. But hopefully he will notice on the minimap that he is seeing some. He actually cancelled the waypoints now. Okay. So the scout coming in from this side. Scout can help out blocking. Actually, could lame a sheep here now, bring it home. But it's very unfortunate with scouting here, Adalwolf not finding his opponent's key resources in time. Cooper, on the other hand, gets some has some little idle time here. A little bit back and forth. And now going forward for the wood here. So fuel age at 24 pop, 25 pop for Cooper, but then of course some fishing ships working and some bit intensive with gold. He could be maybe going for the archers to begin with, or he could just try to get to the castle age early on here. Nice quick walls from Cooper, and also DC flying away at the militia, not doing any significant damage here. But Adalwolf, he does have the villager lead, quite an accomplishment considering he's been lamed and then needed to adapt. He didn't dock yet, but he's just about to do it right now. He's just securing his villager so as not to be lamed. He doesn't have loom. He's taking loom now and will likely be clicking up with 28 pop. In other words, it's a drush fast castle for Adalwolf. He succeeds finally in delaying his opponent a bit here, causing some serious idle time on this wood line for Cooper. I don't think Cooper is too stressed out about this. He knows he's in the leading position here for the moment, but still certainly annoying. I think Adalwolf is wasting his scout here taking that fight, but maybe he feels the idle time cost is worth it still. And here I was thinking that Adalwolf was going for the dog, but he was actually only going for the wall of here. I have to say, kind of peculiar not for Vikings to go for the fishbone and on a huge lake like this, but Adalwolf hasn't scouted the whole of it, but he must know it's quite significant size here. I wonder what he has planned. He's going for the fuel age, and considering the gathering rate of food and gold here, you should be able to get cast age somewhat easily. Now is fully walled as well. So we'll be lagging behind a bit in villager count here, being up to field age now. Is 3 villagers behind for now. Cooper is producing still both fish and the villagers working on Adal needs to play this for post-imp. As long as he gets to a few berserks with a strong eco, he wins the game. Yeah, berserkers would do nicely here. And he's wall off nicely. He couldn't get a peaceful fast castle here. At a decent time actually, considering he had a rush initially. That would also explain the bit of the stressing out. It's tougher to quick wall and defend against a rush when they're actually playing at fast speed. You have to react even quicker with the quick walls. And Cooper actually with scouts on the field, Celt scouts. So he was, I bet he was hoping to get through somewhere, but realizing Adal is full wall, this is no easy task. But eco numbers speak for themselves, and Adal is clicking up to the castle age. But look at this transport ship. Cooper. Ingenious! Look. He sees the landline is walled. So he sends a transport ship with scouts on the side that's not walled here. This is fantastic play from Cooper here. Noticing that there's an opening here. I love this. So how will Adalwolf react to this? It doesn't have a... well, he has a barracks, but it doesn't have a spearman out. He would never expect this is on a double range here. But... boopsie! Raided on the gold here. That's a surprise attack, and even with Loom, Adalwolf is forced off gold here, and I calls the GG. Yeah, I can understand that he will not be able to reach the castle age being with a comfortable eco, being raided like this, and he just didn't see that sneaky move there coming. Fantastic creative move from Cooper there, doing the transfer chip, getting the scouts ready on Adalwolf's side. And I could remind again that Adalwolf was lamed one more early in the game. That says he eco back a lot, even with Vikings. So looking at the stats here, actually no military score for Adalwolf at this point. He lost his militia scout, so he actually had no military to deal with this rush. 5-0 KD for Cooper, but the early board aim has to be taken into account. That will actually happen early enough for Adalwolf to be allowed to call the GG. Not call the GG, but call the restart. But he kept playing, which I think is good sportsmanship and saving the potential re for game decider later on. So very significant difference in fuel age and up times here. It's 14 minutes up for Adalwolf and 10 minutes up for Cooper. Adalwolf was on the way to Castle Age, but with the scouts raid coming in, he was in a tough spot there overall. With Drahai also 41 to 30 for Cooper. He did have a fish boom working for him. 5 fishing ships total, it looks like. And then, of course, in the end, army versus no army here. Bad news for Adalwolf. So let's pick up the next game. It will be game 2 on Adalwolf's home map, which is Necro Arena. So here we go, guys. Game 2 between Adalwolf and Cooper. We have a Necro Arena match here with Cooper playing as the Turks in the red here. Of course, strong arena synth. And Adalwolf with the slabs. So it looks like both players have some decent wood lines in the backs of their bases. Adalwolf should has a fantastic wood line back here. Imagine the TC back here, you just don't easily get to stop that one. And very forward resources for Cooper here, but he does have the gold in the back here if he scouts it at all. He probably will at some point. Looks like they have the deer inside as well, right? Well, 2 deer inside for Cooper, and all 3 deer inside for Adalwolf. So what we can expect from Turk on Arena is their classic go-to strategy is the fast Imperial, where you can get a very strong push going with the bomber cannons since you have free chemistry, and you could get hand cannoneers from the archery gunners pretty easily. So, and with slabs, of course, they have a great boom with their cheaper farms, but they also have very good siege, and their unique tech for infantry called Druzhina, fittingly enough, as Adolf is part of the clan Druzhina, which give their infantry trample damage, which is huge for helps and champions and such. So Slavs have arguably among the best champions in the game. So I doubt we'll be seeing a castle drop from the Turks in the early stages here, but if they did, that would only deny some gold. Adal has some nice resources here, both gold and stone somewhat in the back here, and side gold a bit forward, but he could secure that himself with the castle or other options later on. So I think again I'll just fast forward a bit on arena map like this, because there's not really any significant early action. I have to pay attention to their uptimes to see if we can tell if the Turks player is indeed going for the fast Imperial here. So Cooper now scouting Adolf's location. And setting up the eco for a pretty standard fast castle here, I think. He could be going for scouts as well. Okay. So Adolf almost loses his scout here. He will lose his scout now because he is inside the Cooper space, but that could provide valuable intel for Adolf on Cooper's side here. It might be a bit too early to tell if his opponent is going for the fast imp, but for some reason this idled Cooper a lot. I think he might have rang the town bell or something there by accident, because suddenly a lot of his villagers went idle here, and he needs to deal with that. Now he's going for the gold. I was going to say he was going 4 on gold, but he's only going 2. He's going to be dealing with Adolf's scout here. But Adolf will be the first to the feudal age. He didn't drop a barracks yet, so it could be just a straight fast castle market blacksmith here. So he doesn't go for the scouts to challenge the relics. Which I think might prove as... I mean, you want to deny the relics of Turks, right? Because Turks really need their gold to thrive on any map, really. So something needs gold. But here comes the barracks, so it is indeed going to be some kind of map control taken by Adolf here. I bet he will drop the stable as well now. Yeah, Eco not that far off from going up to the next stage. Cooper going to the feudal age with 28 pop. Then he'll be adding probably 2 more villagers, which is suggesting a 30 pop castle age, which is a strong indication that he is in fact going for the fast imp strategy here. He's also very heavy on the berries here, which you need the food for both castle imp. Here's the market. And the blacksmith. So now from this late feudal age, Adolf will know that his opponent is for sure up to fast imp, and he needs to find a way to punish that. Yes, scouts on the field, he can, as mentioned, he will be likely be getting to castle age earlier, Adolf. And yeah, he will definitely get to castle age earlier, which means he should have an easier time collecting the relics as well. Cooper now taking castle age. He's taking it at 30 pop, and we will be seeing him adding more farms shortly as the berries run out, so that he will have the food eco to eventually to get the fast imp going. But he is very low on wood here, so he might be a bit late adding the farms, and in exchange being late for the fast imp as well, but remains to be seen what he's doing here. So he is paying attention near his opponent's base. He knows the opponent will be going reaching castle age soon, so he wants to make sure that his Slav opponent won't do a castle drop on him. Unfortunately for Cooper, he loses his initial scout here now, so it leaves him with no military, no vision of the map. So now Adolf is free to do whatever he wants. He could opt for the castle drop, something I think he won't because he hasn't gone to stone yet. But I'm betting there are other ways to punish a Dirk fasting. He could simply just prepare his defenses against it as well. So the castle age is in for Adalwolf. What does he do? Does he go straight for the boom here? He's adding knights. Knights is already, if you can get the numbers up, it's already a good measure. But look at Cooper's villagers here. Maybe it is not the fast imp after all. He has stone to drop a castle now. It's going to be a dry castle drop. Didn't see that coming, but Adalwolf surely must be able to scout this and deny it in time. Such a sneaky castle drop from Cooper here. He is walled in his villagers, but Adalwolf is not doing any army movement on the map. I'm sure he feels confident now that he has the control here, but there is a castle drop going on. He does a little bit of scouting now, but he's too late. He may have been suspecting the fast imp being in progress, but Cooper, being a bit low on wood, wasn't able to drop enough farms to go fast imp, if that was his idea at all. We don't know this, but this castle will go up without Adalwolf knowing. So nice sneaky move from Cooper here. But there we go, Adalwolf scouts the castle going up. Does a little nudge here with the scouters. I know what you're doing, man. I got this. So Adalwolf on the 2 TCs for the moment. Cooper obviously only on 1 since he was prioritizing a lot on stone to get this castle up. Now I think he's bringing his villagers back home, is he? Now also Janissar is out already. So Monastery is out for Adalwolf. He has collected 1 relic already. This last one here should be tough to get to with a monk, considering there's a castle here protecting the pathing. But there are knights on the field. Adalwolf does have some decent map control, and Cooper doesn't seem to be going for the relics at all here. Second relic being brought in by Adalwolf. And well, Janissar is on in production. Walls will go down here, stone wall. And with some Janissar in raiding Adalwolf's eco, this could be hurtful for Adalwolf. But Cooper doesn't have any villagers forward now, so he doesn't have the means to add any forward siege or anything just yet. But he moves in with some Janissars. They have 8 range, so they could do some decent work here. There are some knights at home for Adalwolf that should be able to defend here, but he doesn't have any upgrades yet, so they should be subject to Janissary fire here as well. So just some simple idling here. The monk has actually outranges the Janissaries at this point, so monks could even be decent defense for Adalwolf here. But Adalwolf doesn't seem stressed out by this. He is still on 2 TCs, but obviously taking the relics, taking some map control with units himself. And Cooper's castle push is not doing too much at the moment. Villager counts are pretty even, considering that, well, Cooper has added the second TC as well, but Adalwolf with a slight lead, and he has the military lead as well. But Cooper has a castle up. We want send some villagers forward. He's dropping another castle, which I think will go up because it's covered by castle fire from the other castle here. No fletching or anything though. These Janissaries could go down to knights here, and nice work with the monk converting some villagers as well. If Adalwolf gets this raid, he gets quite a few villagers here, and loses of course a bit to castle fire here, but that's not a huge issue for Adalwolf at this point. Cooper saves a few villagers. I don't think it's enough to finish the castle, considering there's a monk behind as well, but he does put up some quick walls. Adalwolf gets a conversion in, but I think Cooper deletes it just in time here. Now a siege workshop added on the defensive for Adalwolf here. That could actually go up. Considering Cooper only has one villager building, he may need to bail on this castle, because Adalwolf will get siege out. Cooper can't see that obviously, but if Adalwolf gets one mangonel out, which is up to right now, then it should be easy for him to stop any castle building villagers here. So Knight's numbers are increasing valuable. He has a significant army lead here now. It's 16-4. I still think this castle may go up, but yeah, Cooper needs to pay attention to his creek walls as well. Adalwolf is running around, made himself an opening here. Needs to move the man a little closer, I believe, to get some hits in on the villagers. It might be too late. This castle will go up unless the knights can get the hits in here. Oh, fantastic defense from Adalwolf here. Actually denying this castle at the last possible moment here at 91%. So what Adalwolf needs to do now is to make sure this castle doesn't go up, of course, but they could just remove this, get these house foundations out, or just keep this mangonel at guard here, just stopping any villagers from finishing this one. But Adalwolf fights on the castle fire, losing a few units. He was at 16 a moment ago, now he's on 13. He has a few idols as well, but still isn't stressed out by this push here. He's only on 2 TC boom, but with slab farms you could still sustain a nice eco with the farmers doing the farms being cheaper for him. Also the military buildings sustain population, 5 population each, so it means that Adalwolf is less likely to be housed and can focus on other stuff. Mangonel still firing here, could get a last hit in on the Janissaries. A fantastic hit there. Now the Knights could just run in and snipe all of these guys pretty easily, I think. But Knights missing upgrades, Adalwolf chooses not to run in. Has one ram, taking care of the castle here. He really doesn't want this castle to go up, and he's defending nicely against the Turk push here. His opponent is on 3 TC room though, so could be catching up in villagers at some point, but also needs to keep army in production and places some house foundations here. Really wants to finish this castle, but the ram is doing work here. And Adalwolf now sees the villagers again. He sends the knights out, has the monk at place again. I think this castle will be completely denied. I also like that Adalwolf is not over-investing in siege here. He only added 1 ram, first 1 mangonel, then 1 ram. He's not wasting resources excessively here. He's just making what he needs to, and to prevent or delay this castle from going up. Once this castle goes up, finally, it will be so weakened that just a few more rams could easily take it out. And it will be Adalwolf reaching Imperial Age first here. And what's Cooper's situation is? He's actually pretty far away. He's been investing a lot in army and in stone for castles here. Repairing the castle. He might be able to afford another one depending on how much he will invest into repairs here. But considering Adalwolf will reach Imperial way before Cooper, it should be very good news for Adalwolf. But Cooper opts for another forward casting here. He wants to keep his opponent at home for as much as possible. But still no monastery for Cooper, so it will be Adalwolf with the relic lead here. He has 3 relics stored at free gold for him, and also, of course, stops this castle from going up with his knights at home here. So still very good defense from Adalwolf here, just preventing Cooper from the forwards here. But Cooper insists on his castle push. He will still be staying in the castle age and pushing. Maybe not the worst choice, but now a defensive castle going up for Adalwolf as well. That is going to prevent the Janissaries from moving forward easily. No forward siege for Cooper for now. He could afford it with his current wood and gold situation actually, but he seems to be abusing the market for gold as well and is keeping his food count at the minimum, so light cav raiding is also not an option here if he wanted to opt for something like that. So surely a very annoying castle push for deal with, but Imperial Age is in, Adolf can get Trebs out. What's his eco situation like right now? He is just queuing a Treb right now, and considering Cooper's situation being so far from Imperial Age, he won't really be able to contest Treb's firing. And if Cooper loses his forward here, I think it's over for him, because it's just so much further behind in eco against the slab player who will only go stronger as the game goes on, with his cheaper farms now adding his third TC. Adolf's taking Cavalier now. He might be considering going for some raids or some forward siege with knights here. So one Trebis out is even placed behind this castle, so there's no way that Cooper deals with this. Cooper should be very low on stone as well, so he can't really repair these castles. He is of course delaying his opponent. He has Janissaries on the field, but Adolf has units in storage in his workshop as well. He has capped ram now. Could even be considering siege ram at some point, I guess, but the Trebs will do work, and with capped rams in the mix as well, these castles will melt like paper mache here. Janissaries do have great attack against buildings and siege units though, but it won't really help the situation against huge massive army that Adolf actually has. He has 29 to 9 military at this point. One castle goes down, one Treb firing on each castle. He will pack up this Treb now and fire at this castle as well, and the house walls go down. The Janissaries will likely go down as well, unless Adolf is going forward, but Cooper calls the GG, realizes this is over. So very nice defense from Adolf as slabs here. I'm sure he was expecting a fast at some point, but then he saw the castle drop finally and was able to defend it nicely against that. Adolf is a very strong arena player these days. He has beaten strong arena players, and he brings the score to 1-1 on his home map here. So looking at the eco, of course, very huge eco lead for slabs. Adolf was able to maintain his boom and eco behind the push he was facing, and never let his opponent interraid his actual villagers. Not that much anyway. KD pretty similar, but Adolf being the first to imp, or being the only one to imp actually, stops the castle push from being his death. So more food, wood, more resources overall, except for stone for Adolf. Villager count actually higher for Cooper in the end. He was earlier up with his third TC, but he invested a lot into army and stayed in Castle Age and had to pay the price for it in the end. You also see some significant relic gold here for Adolf, who assumed map control early with spears and scouts and eventually knights into cavaliers. So moving on to the third game here now, which is going to be Baltic. So here we go guys, game 3 between Adolf and Cooper. This map is Baltic. It's a map that people would probably know from The previous ranked map pool, we don't have it right now, but in the 1v1 pool the last time around, this was one of the developers' choice, I believe, for a map. As we see, it's a hybrid map, huge chunk of water in the middle, so there will be water fights, I believe, but there are also openings on the sides, but should be fairly easy to wall. This is such a small wall between the woodline and the waters here, and on the other side as well, you could just wall to the woodlines and you're fine. You would have to worry less about land aggression here. So both players playing as Italians here, Adalwolf on this side and Cooper in the red on this side. Italians can go up to the next age more cheaply, meaning that the feudal age costs something like 420 food or something. I want to double check that just so I'm not saying it. 425 food, and castle age 680, 170, imperial age finally also a bit cheaper. So it gives them the edge of going up earlier, but of course this bonus and advantage is cancelled out by the fact being that both players are playing the same civ. And I want to say out of these players I know Adalwolf the best. He's a solid player, Migration is one of his favorite maps, so he's certainly a strong water player. He knows his galley micro and he will impose a challenge on water here, I'm sure. So missing a few sheep here, but I'm sure they will scout them eventually. Cooper seems to have a good grasp of his home map, and Adalwolf also found his core resources. Let me just fast forward a bit to catch up with any action that might happen. So you see both players playing consistently here. I think Cooper's dock will be up. No, Adalwolf's dock will be up slightly before Cooper's. Both players, yeah, they're very almost mirrored here in their playstyles as well. The ships going out at the same time, but Adalwolf getting housed, Cooper doesn't, I believe. And Loom now coming for Cooper, suggesting he might be clicking up soon. But Adalwolf, slight lead to the feudal age. Walling off pretty close to his base here, doesn't want to risk any. Look at the sneak! Look at the sneak here, this man here, sneaking up to Cooper's left corner here. So while Adalwolf has wall on this side, Cooper isn't, of course, but he so far has no knowledge of any sneak happening on this side. And let's see what happens once the players reach feudal age. There's 2 docks for Cooper, only 1 for Adalwolf. Could signify that Adalwolf wants to go for some early action. Cooper actually pre-quads his whole gold here. Look at now that fire galleys being added for Cooper, and all the same for Adalwolf. But Adalwolf has presented still only 1 dock. His wood eco doesn't support another dock for now because he is might be going for some sneaky land aggression here. But Adalwolf wants to be on the safe side, walling off both his sides, so Cooper's only chance for now is to go for water aggression and maybe a transport to raid Adalwolf a bit on land here. Sends his fishing ship out to scout now, finds Adalwolf's fish, knows that this has to be the area Adalwolf is in, and this 4 fire galleys queued. Adalwolf has only 1 for now, but in exchange he's adding an archery range on Cooper's side, and Cooper for now doesn't see that that's happening. If Adalwolf can succeed with a sneak and take Cooper off gold, that's huge, because that could buy Adalwolf the advantage to get more docks up and win water control. So fire ships forward for Cooper now. Obviously not on patrol here, otherwise they would be attacking this fishing ship, but now going for Adalwolf's fish eco here. There's only 3 fish for Adalwolf for now, only 1 dock. That could mean that Cooper at this point is over investing in water because he's on 3 docks. And course, he can't know at this point that there's only one dock for Adalwolf, but still, it's an overinvestment that could hurt him later on. Look at this Viking Lord repairing a fishing ship, sending 5 villagers to work, although only one is working for him. But what don't you do to save some fish income, huh? Now going forward again, wants to take out the dock. Maybe doing a little bit of scouting along the process, but Adolf, as you can see, doesn't invest in water at all here. He knows water is already lost by now, and he didn't really mean to invest in it overall. But the sneak is happening behind here. He's adding archers, playing Italians like he would play them on the land map, more or less. And if this succeeds, it could be huge for him, because grid walls or palisade walls won't be stopping any archer aggression, that's for sure. No blacksmith for Adolf yet though, so he won't have fletching as I'm not sure if he wants to move forward until he has fletching. Cooper, does he have any suspicions here now? He's walling off. So Adolf now kind of in a hurry actually. So no walls seen by Adolf. Either Cooper is getting lucky or he actually spotted the sneak on the side here, and now he's walling off. So yeah, Cooper has been here at some point. He may have seen the scout, and Adolf really needs to move in now, otherwise his land aggression will be very much delayed by walls here. So very patient play from Cooper here. He's invested a lot in water, but I see him now is only adding fish because he knows he has 1 water for now. Adolf's archers, they are coming here, but Cooper has suspected something was up and he won't allow the archers in. Will he now add a defensive archery range himself? Or simply just a tower? So Cooper, of course, seeing that Adolf's archers are coming, he adds a defensive tower, doesn't want the archers to be allowed to get in. I think they might... Yeah, a quick gate coming up to ensure the archers don't break through here, and the tower will go up and make sure that the archers can't really do any significant damage here. So, nice awareness from Cooper, actually noticing that since there's not a lot of action on water, Adolf must either be sneaking, doing some land aggression, or booming like crazy on land at home, and he's doing the first. So, tower protecting this break-in here for now for Cooper, and he's also stonewalling the right-hand side here so that the archers are never going to get through on that side either. So Cooper very much set up to go to the next stage now. He's only missing the buildings to go to the gas stage. And he has a fish eco doing wonders for him here. Adalwolf on the other hand, not so strong eco, he has no fish at all obviously. And his forward is not succeeding either, so this puts Adalwolf at a huge disadvantage here, unfortunately. So still wanting to break through here, but I think Cooper will quick gate again and making sure the archers won't break through the walls here. Adolf adding a forward market, he wants to click up himself, maybe with the market abuse to, or just simply get the last remaining resources to click up. Good news for Adolf though is on his side he has some pretty safe stones and golds here for now until Cooper can reach him on land, so it's not over yet. This is a pretty huge mass of archers that could be crossbows, and once Adolf gets Castle Age, actually reaching it before Cooper here, he could add some forward siege and break through and get the towers and do some real damage here. So keeps adding archers, taking some serious land presence here, but that does not discount the fact that Cooper could opt for a landing and do a sneak of his own on Adolf's home base, where he doesn't have any military presence at all, except for a barracks. But still nice defense from Cooper on this side, keeping the archers completely out here, and Adalwolf is very much dependent on siege to get through here with his forward. Adalwolf may be worrying a little bit about the landing here on this side. He is going to try and place a very ambitious dock here now. But this poor guy is being hunted down by 3 fire ships, and Adolf needs to bail on the water idea. But look at these sneaky docks being added here. Adolf will be first to the castle age. He's adding some docks here. Could be trying to get back the presence on water. He knows that his opponent did overextend on water compared to what he was doing, but with the right amount of action here, Adolf could take water back. But now Cooper with the transport here, going for a transport to Adalwolf's side, something Adalwolf shouldn't be able to notice. Castle Age is in for Adalwolf, of course, and before Cooper is taking Bodkin arrow and crossbow, and is not giving up on making some damage with archers on this side, but Cooper now with forward barracks on Adalwolf's side. And what's the land play going to be here for Cooper? So he's going for ranges himself, now he's going for stable. He wants to raid with knights, I presume. Maybe mix in some scouts or light cav as well. And getting all the upgrades here, getting the gold upgrade as well to collect gold more easily. And he has a fantastic food income from the fish boom here, so he should easily be able to sustain double stable knight production here. Adalwolf probably doesn't see this because he doesn't have water control, so he will be surprised for sure. And now I think Cooper even used his transport ship to scout that Adalwolf is redocking, so Cooper might also be considering adding more presence on sea here. Third stable being added from Cooper. He really wants to take the land from Adalwolf here and punish it. Also sends forward the ships here, and for now Adalwolf's ship count is not significant enough to challenge these 4 here. Adalwolf needs to be patient, maybe take War Galley or something, but then again he's going to be hit by knights, full upgraded knights, Castle Age knights on land. And Cooper is massing from 3 stables. And how does Adalwolf deal with this with only 1 barrack at home and actually not enough wood to make more barracks? This could be devastating for Adalwolf, this landing here. Adalwolf completely idle here, is 29 idles at this point, and he's still not breaking through with the archers on his side, and defensive castle of Cooper on this side, stone walls, and calling the GG without actually calling the GG, unless the replay is mistaken here. But yeah, Adolf being heavily readied on land, his forward not succeeding, brings it to 2-1 for Cooper, and Cooper will be the one advancing to the next stage. Nice set between these players. See like a pretty even match again. So let's have a look at the stats as well. Cooper with surprisingly little eco advantage here considering the villager difference, but more food, more wood collected, and also stone for the defensive castle, keeping effectively Adalwolf's archers out. KD 11-1 as well, and if we look at Adalwolf's space, he is being raided by a mass of knights here and has no means of defending them. That's the cost of a sneaky forward here, even though with siege workshops and everything he was never allowed to break through, so creds to Cooper for fantastic defense here, keeping the archers out the whole time while maintaining water control and doing a landing on his own. So this upturn is pretty similar here, and tells me that these guys are on the same page, so to speak, level-wise, but it's Cooper's win in the end. Alright guys, I'm going to need to call it here for today. But thanks so much for watching. I will be back with a cast tomorrow as well, I believe. And yeah, enjoy your day.